Hey Daniel,
Hey,
hello from India.
I'm from Sweden.
Yeah, how are you guys? Are you guys taking care?
Yeah, it's great. It's
Mm.
I okay, great is a relative word, but yeah, under the circumstances, yeah,
Yeah. Same here. I mean, we are at a
yeah,
home and we can't go out, but everything else is fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
We have a
So,
quite not that full lockdown here. Actually, we are allowed to go outside,
mhm,
uh, but yeah, it's still people are working from home and everything like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So let me just ask my guest to join up. I hope he can join up. Uh, Sorry. I hope my co-host can join up on his own. Yeah, Daniel. So I think we'll do a head start because otherwise Instagram stops it at the 1 hour mark.
yeah,
Yep. So I think we met back during Adventure 2017,
yeah.
and meeting you was an eye opener regarding how you used to shoot, and you were shooting for the Scandinavian Air Show guys, I think back then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So uh, you taught me a lot in the sense of how to take close ups and whatnot. But I ended up learning a lot from you within those 3 days than I expected.
Oh, that's great to hear. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you just hold on? Sorry, I'm just going to see if I can ask Kedar to join. So how did you end up getting into this field? Did you first get into aviation or was it photography?
Actually, it was a bit of both.
Okay.
It's yeah. I think you could say that it runs in the family, at least technical interest.
Okay.
Uh, Both my father and my grandfather, they used to work at Ericsson, the Swedish telecom company.
Yeah.
So working with radars, basically the radars that are in the Swedish Saab fighters
Mm.
and things like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there was always an interest in technology and aviation, of course. Um, So then when I was like 9 or 10, I started doing model airplanes, radio
Okay.
control planes,
Yeah. Yeah.
together with my grandfather actually. Um, so we had this kind of symbiosis where I flew the planes and I crashed them and he rebuilt them. So, but it was actually at that time when I started doing photography as well for real. So I started
Okay.
actually shooting model planes, the radio control planes, and
Hmm.
I think that was actually the best kind of practice you can do. The target practice following those small planes.
Hmm.
Uh, so that was really great.
All right.
And then it went on from there. Just I started getting interested in real aviation, real
Hmm.
planes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Joined a local flying club.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, just to be in that environment. I actually don't have a pilot license. I've never gone through that path, but
Hmm.
I've always been in that kind of environment and joining friends on their flights and things like that.
Okay. So I think you're getting a great response. You're getting an echo. I'm not getting anything. It's perfect for me. But
Yeah, actually, I
there's
hear it myself also, this echo.
all right. So yeah. So your grandfather used to help you build RC model planes and
Yeah.
used to crash them, and you called it a symbiotic relationship, which I don't think it really is. But you crashing planes all the time. But then, how come, from a flying club perspective, did you go into photography?
Well, it was, I think it's an interest that I've always been there.
Hmm.
Just, yeah, trying to capture things. I did a lot of drawing when I was younger, and yeah, I think the step just to taking photographs instead wasn't that big. So, yeah.
Wow. So, did you do any initial photography for the flying club instead, or it was directly military aviation and
No,
warbirds and all
no,
that kind of stuff?
no, it was really taking small steps. So I started shooting these small planes and vintage planes.
Mm.
And yeah, after that, it just went on from there.
Yeah. So Kedar Singh, grandpa must have given you a lot of grief crashing his models. I definitely agree that. And then, so you move on to aviation photography.
Yeah.
And did you try exploring any other fields, such as, I don't know, portraiture or whatever?
Not really. I kind of jumped into aviation right away. I think it's fun to do portraits and things like that, nature and wildlife.
Mm.
But I don't really do it much. It's, yeah, I tend to bring out the camera just for the planes, more or
Just
less.
for the planes. Yeah, you're very much like KK in that sense.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So did you get a chance to go airside initially with the military, or was it at air shows, or how did you go about it? Because I'm not aware of the system in Sweden, so maybe you can
Yeah.
explain to our viewers how does it happen.
Well, the thing is, when I was back in school, I did this project, final year of my school. I did a website, and it was really when websites was a new thing.
Yeah.
So I'm that old, yes. So what I did was I made this aviation website, publishing kind of articles, yeah, text and photography.
Like a
And
blog kind of thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
pre-blog blogs. But
Yeah.
but this magazine in Sweden, Flygrevyn, Flight Review, they saw this website and they actually called me and said, "Do you want to work for us instead?"
Wow.
So yeah, that was a really great way of getting into everything and starting making articles for them, basically. So that opened a lot of doors, of course, also to the Air Force and doing air-to-air stuff.
Wow. That's great actually, because as far as I know, not a lot of aviation photographers get into the, let's say, journalistic kind of view. You know, it's a long struggle for them to get into the journalistic side of it. They're not really born, or they're not really brought up with that talent to start
Yeah.
at it in the initial get-go.
I
So
think
how was
for
your first Sorry,
yeah.
please go ahead.
Yeah. What I just wanted to add was that I think that I had this advantage because I also write a lot.
Okay.
So that way I could provide full articles, basically, both the text and photography. So
Wow, that's amazing. I
yeah,
personally didn't know that side of yours.
yeah. But I mostly write in Swedish though, so that's why you probably haven't seen.
Yeah, maybe I need to start learning Swedish.
Yeah. Why not?
So how was your first assignment like? Like, what was it about?
The first one, or?
Yeah. And when was this, by the way?
Well, this must have been back in 97, 98, I think. Yeah. The first real assignment that the magazine gave me was shooting some helicopters. We had this helicopter formation team. We're really small, use helicopters, but there were 10 of them, so it was a really big team.
Wow, that's huge.
They called them the flying carpets, and it was actually like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the magazine basically set it up for me to go there, and that was my first military assignment, and I got to shoot a little bit of air there as well from the helicopters.
Wow. And that was your first ever experience with military aviation?
Yeah, of course I had been to air shows before.
But this was up close and one-on-one kind of basis.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's brilliant. I mean, I would have never imagined. I mean, a lot of people first obviously do it with air shows and get it done via contacts or whatever, and then they eventually move on to on assignments and things like that. But that is great. So okay, so 97, 98, we get this thing done, and then at what period of time did you go like, okay, now I need to like start shooting jets and stuff? Because I've seen your photos of Eagles and the Wigan, and it's amazing. I'm going to show them now. How did that happen?
Sure. Well, actually, for me, it's been a really slow journey. I did a few military shoots back then, late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
But the opportunities are hard to get by. So really, there didn't happen much during the first part of the 2000s. I did a few things like once every year or something, but it was really a slow start. So I think it was more like from the 2010 and 11 something that it more started to evolve, and I could do these bigger military things also, and also together with other people,
Hmm.
other photographers as well. So that really skyrocketed my photography, you could say. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was which aircraft did you shoot at, like the first air-to-air? Which aircraft was it?
Yeah, so that was the Saab Viggen,
Okay.
the plane that was before the Gripen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a two-seater version
Hmm.
with this very special camouflage.
Yeah.
So it was built for using in Sweden, and the camouflage reflected that as well, to be hidden
Yeah.
in small roads and road bases and things like that.
So yeah, I can see that it has canards, and I guess it had a thrust reverser also. It was which is very unusual for fighter aircraft of that generation.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the Tornado and everything, that I mean, I think after the Viggen, the Tornado was the only one which used thrust reversers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
let's take a question because Kedar is putting a good one. So was that a museum shoot or an operational one?
So this now we're talking like almost 20 years back.
Okay.
They were still operational.
Okay.
So it was at our most northern airbase in Sweden, F21, up in the real cold part of the country.
I thought Sweden's always cold. I thought every part of Sweden is cold.
Yeah, not really, actually. Not down here where I live.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, so it was operational, and I got to shoot some Viggens there. This photo here is later. This one is just a few years old.
Okay. And did you get to do any air-to-air on that shoot, or was it just ground-based?
Yeah, that was air-to-air.
Air-to-air, yeah.
Yeah.
And so was this your very first experience with fighters and air-to-air? And how was that like? In the challenges, I mean.
Yeah, well, it was great. We flew in this jet trainer. Oh, I just have to wave because my daughter is outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we flew with the Swedish trainer. It's also Saab, Saab 105, SK60.
This one.
Exactly, that one.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a really great photo platform, actually. You can have 2 or 4 seats.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can remove the ejection seats, and then you can have 4 people. Of course, without the ejection seats then.
Yeah, sure.
So you don't do aerobatics without them.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, I can see that it's very well suited for as a photo strip because you're sitting near the pilot. There's very easy communication. The pilot can, if not in close formation, the pilot can see you. Working the shot,
side by
so
side,
he can maneuver easily. Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's take the question what Fuji has. What kind of training did you have to go through to fly in the SK60?
Yeah. Actually, for that shoot, there wasn't much training at all because since it's rated as a trainer, and especially the ones without ejection seats, basically anyone can fly in them. So there wasn't much preparation needed, actually.
Okay.
Just a few of the basic stuff, of course, how to get out in an emergency and things like that.
Yeah, and what kind of gear did you have back then? I think because you're a Canon man, so.
Yeah, I'm a Canon man now, and I was then also. But when I first started, I used Minolta.
Mm.
but then I quite quickly changed to Canon. And mostly used the Canon 5 series. First when it was analog, and now digital.
Digital. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I have, I mean, I am aware about your publications, but would you mind telling the viewers what kind of publications and articles you've had through the years? Obviously, it's
Yeah.
over the span
So
of 20 years.
yeah, so like my main work that I do is for the Swedish magazine,
Mm.
Flygrevyn.
Mm.
So I actually have one here. I can just show it.
Great.
So it's like that. Well,
Wow.
now it's mirrored, right? But yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the big in shots also.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
mainly I've been doing work for that magazine and writing in Swedish.
Mm.
That's much easier for me also than doing stuff in English.
Mm.
But I've done some articles for international magazines as well. But that has mostly been within warbirds and historic aircraft, which is
Wow.
more. You could say when it really comes down to my heart, that's where the passion is.
Yes.
Of course, military jets is always cool, of course, and everything like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, the real passion is with warbirds and historic.
Yeah. And so let me just go back a little bit. So when you were learning photography and you were visiting air shows and whatnot, so by then, was the Vigan already in service, or did you have what is the earlier version? Sorry, I'm forgetting a bit.
Yeah, so Vigans were at their, you could say their end of
Prime?
life by then.
Oh,
So
okay.
so the Gripens were coming into service by then. The early Gripens, 39A.
B, yeah.
Yeah, A and B, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it was kind of that transition time in the early 2000s.
And what was your first experience like? When did you start shooting Gripens? Because I can see uh, that you have a lot of Gripen shots. That your profile is full of Gripen shots, and not just the very basic kinds. There are very creative shots on there as well. That be over the ocean or doing minor aerobatics or something like that. So, what was your first experience shooting the Gripen?
Well, actually, my first experience was one of the big and shoots when there also was a Gripen there, so that joined us. So we actually got the Gripen and the Vigan together. So that was nice. But then we did a lot of shoots together with my friend Björn Helenius. This was maybe 7, 8 years ago. We started working together. So we did a lot of shoots from aircraft with this open back door, and also from Cessna Caravans with a big side door.
Yep.
Yeah, we shot a lot of Gripens together because he has great contacts in the military as well. So he could contact the pilots, and we could set it up together.
That's great. I don't think that's ever going to happen in India, but I mean that's very cool for somebody like obviously India is not exactly what do I say, open kind of military. I mean there are a lot of restrictions over here, even for civilian aviation shoots and all these things. There's quite a bit of restrictions, considering that we do have a lot of security concerns. But listening to all this over there, like how does it happen in Sweden, and they're giving a chance to photographers? I think that's big and that's great.
Yeah, it's great. It's not just like doing this. I mean,
no.
It's hard work, of course.
Yeah, definitely.
It takes a lot of contacts, of course, knowing the right people and everything, and also being backed by a magazine.
Yes,
that's also great, of course.
Yeah. So I'm just going to take Keda's question. Is there a World War I museum? Because I've seen a lot of awesome air-to-air shots with vintage aircraft, just like this.
Yeah. So the World War I stuff. Basically, there's two things that I've done there, and this is my friend Michael Carlson. We are not related.
Okay.
But so you could basically say he's one of the greatest guys when it comes to World War One, really early aviation in the world. He restores these old planes and he flies them. So this is Blériot, the first aircraft to cross the English Channel.
Yeah.
And one of the really early airplanes from the 1909, I think it was the Channel crossing.
Oh.
So that's this aircraft is this specific aircraft is a little bit later, but it's the same model. So it's more than 100 years old.
Wow.
And that's really special. This photo shoot with this we did with this machine was something really extra because it was magic evening, and just to get up in the air together with that old aircraft was just amazing. That was actually one of the highlights. It's great to shoot the military planes and jets and everything, but that was something extra. Yeah.
This is rare. I mean, I don't know how many of these pieces exist in the world.
Not many, and especially not many flying. It's just a few. Yeah.
What was your photo shoot here, by the way?
So that was shot from a Piper Cub.
Okay.
So this small, because when you shoot planes like that, you basically need to have a really slow plane.
Yeah.
Normally, you're looking for a fast photo ship, but when shooting these really old planes, you need something that is flying slow and still maneuverable. Yeah.
That is great. And then you've sent me a shot of Spitfire, which we're going to reserve for later on, but I think it's just too good of a shot to keep it reserved. So how did this happen?
Yeah, so we had, for a few years, we had both a Spitfire and a Mustang in Sweden. And the guy flying it, he became a friend of mine. I've known his son for a long time.
Yeah.
Basically I've done a lot of shoots for this company that Biltema, as they are called, that owns the planes. So I think I've done in total maybe 6 or 7 photo shoots with those 2 planes. And that shot was from a Caravan, Cessna Caravan.
Wow, that is great. I mean, even these machines, flyable pieces, are very rare. I mean, I think US has a couple of them, but out in Europe, I don't know how many there are. What do you think?
Not that many, I think.
Is there a flyable Viggen right now in Sweden?
Yeah, we actually have 2 flyable Viggens flying with the Swedish Air Force Historic Flight. It's the 2-seater that we looked at before and a single-seater as well.
And they have Drakons also?
Yep, 2 Drakons also, both the fighter and the trainer version.
Wow, that is great.
Yeah.
I mean, to actually maintain previous fighters, even that also of 30 years ago, which were made 30 years ago, and to keep them flying is great.
Yeah.
Exactly. Requires a lot of expertise and funding, obviously.
Yeah.
So, do you have any of your books right now with you?
Yeah, well, so when we're talking about these old planes, warbirds and stuff, so I did this book a few years ago now, 5 or 6 years ago. So it's in Swedish mostly.
Okay.
Flygande klassiker, flying classics. Warbirds and vintage aircraft over Sweden. So basically, that's what it's about. So you can see the Spitfire there.
Wow.
And it was really fun doing it. Sure. So it's a lot of photos and some text as well. So I wanted
that is great.
I wanted to have some explanations also, not just about the planes, but actually about the people that are passionate about these planes and keep them in the air with the restorers and the pilots. Because that's really big part of it also.
That's very big, and that's very nice. So so let's take a question from Saurabh. Any acquaintances or experiences with Team 60?
Yes, I've flown with the Team 60, the Swedish Air
Wow.
Force formation team. Yeah, but that was really a long time ago, also in the early 2000s. Uh, but they have really been on and off for many years. They come back one year and then the next year they're gone again because of budget restraints or whatever.
Mm,
So
mm.
yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, must be. I don't want to comment on such things happening, but must be tough to maintain your skills with budget constraints like that. Like if you're going on and off within
Yeah,
years,
yeah, it's hard.
because in India we've had the Hurricanes and they got shut down for about 4 years because they were transitioning from the HAL Kiran Mark II to the Hawk.
Yeah,
So it took them some time to get back to it because the Hawk is such a powerful aircraft.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time. It's not just a switch that you can
No,
do
no,
like
no,
that. Yeah,
no. And
even
I
though
think
the
we're gonna,
pilots are experienced. Yeah,
yeah, because even though right now I heard that the Blue Angels are switching over to the Super Hornets.
yeah, I heard something about that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so maybe even though it's a similar looking aircraft and a similar, people think, oh, it's just a larger copy of a Hornet, but there's so much more to the Super Hornet in terms of power and flight control laws and whatnot. So I
yeah,
think even
yeah,
these guys are going to take some time.
yeah. I think so.
Yeah, definitely. So because Kedar was supposed to join us, and then we realized that this interview is only one-on-one because Instagram doesn't
Okay.
allow us.
Yeah, yeah. But
So
he's still out there. I can see the comments.
yeah, he's still out there. He's still
Yeah,
making jokes and comments and whatnot.
yeah.
But how did you end up meeting him?
Yeah, so that was something I actually wanted to ask Kedar because I really don't remember. But I think it was in 2011 at this Air Trail Academy that we had in Europe by then.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that was the first time we met.
Maybe Kedar can write it down.
Yeah,
I'm still waiting for his reply. And maybe I think he's also trying to remember when you guys met.
yeah, but I think that was the first time.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, he's really, really old, so he finds it really hard to remember stuff. I hope he's laughing right now.
Yeah.
So, talking about, you got any
Yeah.
crazy stories or anything like that? Some wild experiences with the Swedish Air Force?
With the Air Force, you don't really have wild experiences like unexpected things happening, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
yeah, it's all about planning and doing everything as you're supposed to do, right?
Mhm.
But really, the best experience ever that I did with the Air Force was definitely flying in the back seat of the Viggen. So in that two-seater we saw before.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Is this from the weekend?
No, that's actually from another old vintage jet, the Hawker Hunter.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So two-seater T7, I think they're called.
The same side by side seating.
Yeah, exactly, side by side.
Wow, that's brilliant.
Yeah, and that flight, actually, I've got two flights in that plane, and that was amazing also. It's a private-owned jet owned by a guy, Jan Andersson, here in Sweden,
Yeah.
that collects a lot of these planes. And I've shot some of his other planes as well, Mustang and Invader and some other cool stuff.
Let me just find. Is this the Invader?
Let's see. No, that's actually another one. That's also Saab. That was Saab's first aircraft, actually.
Oh, which
Saab
one is this?
70.
Saab 70, right?
Yeah.
So is this was this in service in World War II?
Yeah. It came out during the World War. I think the first flight was it's 80 years this year. So 1940.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, let's just take Kedar's question because he's posting a lot of them. I don't know how he's coming up with these. What are you doing right now? That's so that the isolation is in effect. Digging into archives or making another book?
Yeah, I wish. Actually, I'm working. I'm working from home. So my daytime job, unfortunately, I cannot live from this.
Yeah.
It's a serious hobby, but I still need to have a daytime job as well.
Yeah.
We are still up and running, so I do remote work basically. So uh, maybe it would have been nice to get a break from work, but actually it's been more to do for us now. So yeah.
Yeah, I've been hearing that across the board that work from home happens to be more hectic than working normally from an office.
It actually is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about your gear. What do you have in your bag right now? Because I'm really happy that I'm finally talking to a Canon man
Yeah.
instead of Kedar because he's totally biased towards Nikon. But what do you have in your bag right
Strange
now?
guy. Yeah.
Strange guy, seriously.
Yeah. No. I have a Canon 5 Mark IV.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's my main camera now. And I also have a 7D Mark II for more of the action shots and things, and as a backup as well.
Okay.
And
what
mostly
about the lenses?
Yeah, so doing air to air, it's you can have different approaches, but I like to be close to the subject. So I mostly use wide angles, 24-105 or 24-70. 24-70 is actually my preferred lens for doing air to air.
Okay, that is good.
Yeah, then I also have for the 7D, I have a 100-400, the Mark II. That is great for air shows, but also actually for doing air to air also. Not in a closed canopy thing, but when you have the ramps and yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember back during Aero India, you were using the 100-400.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I have the same setup, more or less as that.
And actually, if you can't see, just here, there's my 400 and I actually asked you back then, what should I purchase? And and you told me 100-400 would be better. Obviously, I couldn't find one for a good price, so I stuck to a prime and bought a 400 So that one's for you, because after 2017, I kind of realized that maybe because I was using a 70-300 and it was not getting me anything, especially considering how far we are in Yelahanka from the air side as an audience. So I decided it was time to get to the 400 that too, a prime lens with improved quality.
Yeah, it's a really great lens.
Yeah, and
but I don't want some comments here that Nikon rules and things like that.
We'll ignore those. I don't know, because the guest I'm planning for next week, he's a really pro Nikon guy, so I don't want to piss him off. Yeah, he's listening to this.
So really, I think it doesn't really matter what brand you have. It's actually for most of the air-to-air work, you could use more or less any camera. It's about getting the planes in the right position with the right distance and everything like that. That's the main challenge, actually, not the camera itself.
So let me ask you a bit of a deep dive kind of question. That let's say when you were planning the air-to-air with the Spitfire or the Mustang, because you knew the owner, and so what was the planning like? Did you have a say into the formation, into what time of day were you guys shooting at, etc.?
Yeah. So for that shoot, we wanted to do an evening shoot because I had already done some day shoots, but I wanted that more atmosphere and a nice light. So basically we set it up together. We planned some routes. More or less, what you do and try to do is circle and do movements. So you get different kind of backdrop, and you get the planes in different angles and things like that.
Yeah.
So you try to brief as much as possible. However, there's so many things that you cannot brief because it's not until you're up there and you can see the conditions, like clouds, the lights,
Yeah.
everything that you can really do the final stuff.
Yeah.
And also it depends on the pilots as well. How experienced are they? And some pilots can really see the pictures. So if they are flying subjects, they know how to formate and do all the right angles. Basically, you don't have to say much. For the others, you really have to, talk to them and really, trying to get them to do the right stuff. Yeah.
But I think that's great because like the video I posted today, are they of the same owner? Do they belong to the same owner? This one?
Oh yeah, that one. No, that's in England. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So this is only from last year, actually, over Duxford or outside of
Okay.
Duxford in England.
Yeah.
So this was together with the aviation photo crew.
Okay.
So Warburg shoot with them. So these are other, it's a Mustang called Contrary Mary.
Okay.
And a Mark V Spitfire.
Yeah. So the Spitfire back there, is that for the BVMF or is that a privately owned one?
Yeah, they're all owned by companies or private owned, companies that are owned by people, of course, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about some of the photos we decided to have a discussion on.
Yeah.
And let me just get to those. We already had quite a long discussion about a couple of them, but I really wanted to know about the shoot involving these beauties.
Yeah, the F-15s, yeah.
The F-15.
That was a great shoot.
So tell us more about that.
Yeah, so this was also together with Björn Helenius that I mentioned before. So this is there was an air show planned in Sweden. This is 3 or 4 years back, I think. So basically, what we did, we contacted most of the crews, the air crews that was going to the air show, and we asked if we can basically meet them up in the air while they're coming to Sweden. And surprisingly, a lot of them said yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is also from the Cessna with the side door. And the Cessna is not that quick, but it's quick enough. You can do some basic stuff like brakes, like this one. And
did you
have
to? Sorry for interrupting. Did you have to communicate to those guys that you wanted them to perform a break, such and such kind of break at this kind of time?
Yeah.
Were in direct communication with them?
Yeah. So what you do is you send them a brief before, basically a document with different kinds of maneuvers that you want them to do. So they have a rough idea of what to do and how to do it.
Okay.
And then you have communication as well, especially between our pilot in the photo aircraft and them, so they can line up properly and everything like that.
Okay. And these. Okay. So and moving on, I think this is one of my favorite aircraft. How did this happen?
Yeah. So this was from a really fun shoot.
Okay.
So this is shot from the back door of an Antonov 28.
Wow.
Yeah, a small cargo plane. And it's a little bit funny also because it's from the former Soviet Union.
Yeah.
We were sitting in that plane and we're getting hunted by a Swedish Gripen. And I don't know how much you know about the Cold War, but during the Cold War, it was really like Sweden was stuck in between these two superpowers, West and East. So just being in that Russian plane and having that Swedish plane chasing us was really great.
And so was this a privately owned one in Sweden, or how was it?
Yeah, a plane like that, exactly. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was rented by a local skydiving club actually. So they do skydiving from the back there. There's an open door that you can open in the back.
Oh,
And of
that's
course,
nice.
yeah, of course, it's great for photography as well. So you can sit on the ramp there, three people
Stable
sitting.
platform.
Yeah, and we had the Gripen flying basically under us, very close. I was a
How?
little bit worried to drop my shoes, but it was okay. Actually, my shoelaces started doing funny things, so I got the shoelaces coming in the frame sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that would not have been that what I don't know what maybe satisfying looking at those photos later on when your shoelaces are flapping around in the frame.
Yeah, yeah. But it was a fun memory. And
Was
that
this
shoot,
on the same shoot?
yeah, that's from the same one. So flying over the Swedish countryside.
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
And what about these?
Yeah, so this was another flight, but it was actually from the same kind of aircraft.
Hmm.
So this was done over a big Swedish lake called the Vättern. And yeah, we had actually 3 Gripens on that flight, 2 single-seaters and this 2-seater. And I really like the 2-seater. I think it's something extra. The Gripen is always beautiful, but with that long, sleek nose, it's really something extra. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's the same aircraft. And they
And
were
I think
loaded.
that's a 2-seater.
Yeah, that's a 2-seater. Exactly.
Yeah, that's a 2-seater. So these were air to surface weapons, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess those are anti-ship.
Yeah, the big ones are anti-ship.
Yeah.
Swedish constructed anti-ship missiles. Exactly.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So I know this is me being a bit too optimistic, but when can we see you in a Gripen?
Inside a Gripen?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. It's really to get the flights in the military jets is increasingly hard. So I don't know. Of course, I hope that one day, maybe, but yeah, we'll see. It's always nice to have something to possibly look forward to something to dream about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the Gripen E is coming up, I guess.
Yeah, the Gripen E, it's already flying, the prototypes. And we will not have a 2-seater in Sweden, though. There will only be a Gripen F in Brazil.
Okay.
Yep.
That must be, I guess, not a lot to do with training, but crew management and having a pair operating in the same cockpit, just like how the Super Hornet works. Super Hornet F, I guess.
Yeah, I think for training nowadays, you can do it in other ways, more or less, with simulators and advanced trainers. But especially if you have another guy in the back seat that can control the whole situation in another way, that's always an advantage, of course.
Yeah. So it's time for a questionnaire session.
Yep.
We're running a bit late, but I've just posted a request so that people can just send us some questions. Let me see if there are any I missed out. Sorry. Okay.
Maybe there were some questions earlier.
Yeah, that's what. So AGRS has a question, which is a nice technical question. What shutter speed can you use for a prop blur in the air? Because me personally, getting prop blur on the ground is hard enough for me. Doing it in the air,
I know.
It's very tough. How do you do it?
Yeah. Prop blur is terrible. I'm not actually one of these full disc guys that always need to have the full disc. I think it's nice that you can actually see the propellers sometimes as well. Of course, you don't want them to be completely fixed, but yeah, something like that is what I try to aim for, and there it's about maybe 200 or 125 maybe. So that's quite slow. But I use the built-in stabilization in the lens, of course, but I don't use any external gyro. So actually, um, I just try to keep steady and try to keep the camera out of the airflow.
Yeah.
That's what you can do, and of course, take a lot of shots also.
Yeah.
You end up with a lot of bad shots.
Yeah.
I mean, we all do, especially when doing air-to-air with propeller aircraft.
Yeah, it's a hit and miss for sure, I guess.
Yeah.
And one of those full disc guys is actually KK. I don't know if he's still on this chat, but that's a shout out to him because he did an interview for the Aviationist, and he's kind of known as the prop blur full disc kind of guy.
Yeah.
So I always kid him about that.
Yeah, and it's great. I think it's for some situations it's fantastic, and especially when you have the light from the right direction and everything like that, and you can really get that glare and everything. Then it's wonderful, and I do use it sometimes as well, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question from Fuji. Favorite aircraft you've photographed?
Well, I almost have to divide that in different categories because I love everything from vintage to modern military fighters.
Okay.
Definitely the Blériot, the more than 100-year-old plane that we looked at before. That was special in its own way. Exactly. But then shooting with modern fighters, like the F-15 has always been like, since I was a kid, I always loved that plane. I think it has fantastic looks and the power and everything, just amazing. So yeah, that was amazing.
That's great. So yeah, Miss Money P, she's asking, when is your next photo session? I don't know, with the coronavirus thing, how can you predict your next photo session?
Yeah. Hey, Luis. It's I don't actually know right now. I hope I will be able to do some local shoots, like in the area, eventually, and then we'll have to go and see from there. When you cannot travel, it's kind of hard to get anywhere. I don't have a lot of planes in this area, unfortunately, where I live. So yeah.
Okay. But I remember back in 2017, you were working for the Scandinavian Air Show.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Yeah, so I've known Jakob Hollander, the owner and the chief pilot of the team, for quite a long time, since I started doing air shows and things like that. And yeah, we just became friends, and he has a selection of some photographers that he works with. So eventually I got the question if I wanted to join to India, because they wanted a photographer there as well to document everything. And yeah, I was able to join, and that was a really fun trip. That was actually one of the best trips I've done.
Okay. Because I remember, sorry?
Yeah, both going to India in itself, the first time for me in India, so that was fantastic. And also with the team, which are great, and it's really fun team. So it was, fantastic trip.
Yeah. And I remember after the end of the air show, there was a small, not a lot of people know about this, but there was a small party for all pilots, ground crew. Yeah, not that kind of party, maybe.
It was actually. It was.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I missed out on the last 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember there was Jacob does this the lights, fire and lights, the pyrotechnic show.
Yeah, exactly. The pyro.
We photographed that.
And I was there also. He has lights and lasers and pyro and you name it, smoke, everything.
I remember because I was there near the taxi track, and that's when I learned how you're supposed to do those kind of things, because you had a camera set up on a tripod for a long exposure shot.
Yeah.
And me, I had hardly any clue about photography back then. Neither do I now. But I was trying to get frozen kind of shots with the high shutter speed and slow shutter speed, and I was just experimenting, and I didn't get anything. Yeah. But
It's hard. It's very hard.
Yeah.
Actually, I did both. I had one camera on the tripod and did these long exposures, and I also tried to shoot with my 7D to shoot some more action shots
Yeah.
also. But yeah, it's really hard when it's pitch black outside.
Yeah, but that was a great experience actually. As I keep telling people that learning from you back then, 2017, it actually gave me that inspiration that, yeah, maybe, see, we don't get a lot of, we have only that one big air show in India, but it gives you that push that maybe, yeah, if it's that one air show, maybe you should go all out and try for all the photos you can get. That's when I started investing into my equipment, and now I'm slowly building up. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was great meeting you. It's always fun to talk with people that are interested in both aviation and photography. Yeah, that's something I enjoy the most, to meet all the friendly people out there. That's great.
That's lovely. And hopefully after the virus thing ends, and hopefully we can meet again.
Definitely, yeah.
Yep.
And when you come to Europe,
I'm definitely going to come to Sweden now.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. All right. So I think we'll have to call off the session now, because Instagram is going to give me an alert anytime now that you've passed the time limit for one video.
Yeah.
And I would like to thank you for taking out your time on a Sunday.
You're welcome. It was great fun.
Yeah.
So let's just do it another time again. It's fun.
Yeah, a little technical difficulties, but we are trying to solve it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Daniel. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Be
Take
safe.
care.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.